Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Sethum. Welcome back to another video. This video, folks, I'm going to be showing you how to farm on repeat a specific dungeon. So for this, we will need a Nightmare Sigil. You can choose whichever one you want. And before I do get into it, this is not my original idea, so special thanks to Rage Gaming Videos. This is where I saw this little thing, this little method, let's call it this. So we've activated one of the sigils, the Nightmare Sigils, and it doesn't matter really which one. We just need to go to the dungeon. We're going to go and basically make our way towards that dungeon. We want to go inside there and kind of just wait for a couple of seconds, 15 to 20 seconds, 30 seconds, just to be on the safe side. Now, what happens with the sigil when you do activate it, and this is the mechanic that we will be using to our advantage, is that every time you leave the dungeon, you go back in, it will respawn all of the enemies. We're going to use this mechanic to basically go into an area that has high mob density, where we can farm all of the mobs there for loot as well as for gold and XP. And we're going to combine it with something else as well. I have tried it out. It was pretty decent, and we're definitely getting quite a bit of loot, quite a bit of XP. Let me just grab this on the way. And yeah, so there's a dungeon. I'm going to make my way there quickly. And once I'm in, I'm just going to wait for a couple of seconds. As I said, 15 to 20 seconds seems to work quite nice. And it just gets better from here. Now, you can do this with this particular dungeon. You can just basically get close to completing it, don't complete it, pop back out, pop back in. I think it might reset this dungeon as well. And so that just means you can do it over and over and over again. But there is something better that we can do, and we can take advantage of it quite some time. And once I'm done waiting here, I'm going to move on to the next section to show you guys. I don't know if you've seen this method, but I thought I might as well share it on my channel as well. So after a couple of seconds, we're going to go over here basically. This is the area that we want to be in. So right there where my cursor is. Here we have a cellar and an event that will spawn. So we can basically go into the cellar, clear out the cellar, go to the event, do the event. After the event, go back into the cellar. By then, it should have respawn. I mean, the moment you leave the cellar, it will respawn all the mobs back in the cellar. So you can just pop in and out of the cellar if you want to do that. But it's definitely worth taking advantage of both the cellar and the event, because you get Obols as well. So that will help us basically gamble for loot, where we can use the affixes or sell it or break them down for parts, whatever you want to do with them. So let me just show you exactly what I mean. So I'll just make my way there as quick as I can. Now, normally it's up to you how you want to start this. You can go with the cellar and then into the event, or you can start the event and do the cellar. I would say start with the event, simply because if you start by using the event up, it just means you will have the time, you'll give it time to respawn when you go back in the cellar, and just it's a rinse to repeat. So you can do this as long as you want. It's definitely worth doing. Okay, here we are. So this is what the general area looks like. You can see it on my mini-map. You can see the cellar there. And over here we should have an event. There we go. It has spawned. So I'm going to start off the event. Should be a fairly easy clear for me. So just basically wait for the enemies to come to us. Once I've got enough corpses on the ground, I'll just start popping them. And that will just keep everything as clear it can be. So just wait and see. Definitely a good farming method. So when I do get to the next world tier, of course, this is something that I'm going to be using. As you can see, we're doing just fine. Good mob density. We've got elites. We've got lots of things to kill, and they just keep coming and coming. So definitely a good way of farming XP. If you have a friend to do this with, just to get that bonus XP, as well as why not use a potion for the added bonus to XP that you gain from this. So definitely, if you combine those, you will come at a decent advantage in terms of XP and leveling up. But there's also loot, as you can see. Gold, we get a chest, we get Obols. Yeah, definitely good. Alright, so once you've cleared everything up, I personally like to loot everything. It doesn't matter if we teleport back to town to sell or break down what we don't need. It does not reset the dungeon unless you die, I think, a total of 12 times or something like that. Or the sigil, actually, is what I meant to say. So if you die 12 times, I think it resets or breaks the sigil or something. But I shouldn't come to that. So this is the dungeon, which is basically the cellar. It's just a simple job of go in, kill everything. There's a couple of variations you'll get here, but what's really nice is the mob density. And just watch what happens here. Also, there's a good chance of getting Obols from here as well, so I'd like to point that out. It depends on what we have to do here in this particular cellar. So basically, cellars, for those that don't know, is a mini dungeon. But it does have good mob density, and you can see we're just clearing out this, I'd say, relatively easy. I don't even have to move. Yes, I'm taking some damage from the poison, but because of my build, I'm also healing back up. So really, I don't even need to move at this point. I just basically go around blowing all of the corpses on the ground. And yeah, look at all that loot we're getting. At the end of it, we will also get a chest. So I'm doing this at normal speed so you guys can see exactly how this works. And if you just want to farm the cellar, that's fine. You can also farm the cellar. I'll show you that in a few seconds after I finish with this. Now, of course, there are several possibilities as to what you will get inside the cellars. You can also get an event in the cellar that will spawn a chest. And yes, from that chest, you can get Obols. As I said, there are several events that I've seen here in this particular cellar. So, we're done here. Go and grab the loot, talk to this dude. And there we go. Cellar is now finished. Open up the chest. As you can see right here, we'll get some stuff, including some legendaries. Now, what drops is quite random, but you can get Obols, so keep that in mind. So it's definitely worth mixing it with an event if you can. Now, what you want to do from here is basically, as I said at the beginning of the video, you want to leave the cellar, go to the event, do the event, come back here. Or if you want, you can just get out of the cellar, come back in the cellar, and everything will have respawn, which is exactly what I'm going to show you. Now, of course, you don't have to use this region that I've shown you. You can go anywhere and do this anywhere in Diablo. The catch is, of course, you want a cellar. So, this is another run that I've just finished here. I'm just looting everything. And I'm just going to leave the cellar. I'm going to show you that when I come back in, everything will have respawned and I can redo it over and over again. My suggestion, as always, is just basically try and find an area that has a cellar which is close to a world event, so you can just go between them. You definitely want to be getting the most out of your farming. So I'll just pop back in. Okay, this will take a couple of seconds. And once we're in, we can just rinse and repeat this cellar over and over and over again. So that's pretty much the way it works. One final note I have is, because you've used the sigil, it's just a shame for it to go to waste. Normally when you're done with this farming method, just go and finish that dungeon off, because you've already used that sigil up. So there's no point in wasting it, in my opinion. But that is pretty much it for this video, folks. I'm not sure if this is the best method to farm in the game, but it's definitely a good method. And yeah, it's a bit monotonous. As you can see, we can do the cellars right quick. And yeah, definitely get a lot of XP in a very short time span. And some golden loot and whatnot. And thank you all so very much for clicking on this video. I hope that you have enjoyed it, found it useful and informative. If you have, please don't forget to support me and the channel by hitting that like button, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, until next time, stay safe, folks.